Welcome back. In this module, we're going to be talking about nutrition, quality over quantity versus calories in, calories out. We'll first start talking about food is medicine and what functional nutrition is. Then we'll look at caloric balance and counting calories. What are the pros and what are the risks? We'll look at the obesity and dieting statistics, weight loss products, talk about quality in regards to nutrition and why that matters. And it's all about nutrient balance. Then we'll end with some practical takeaways. So how does food act as medicine? Hippocrates said it a long time ago. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So what is functional nutrition? You may have heard of functional medicine. Well, there's also functional nutrition, and that's what I do. So what is the difference between functional and conventional nutrition? There's three key points that I want to discuss today. One is that nutrition plays many different functions within the body. So there's a broader lens. Food is not just fuel for the body. It's information. It tells our body and cells how to function. And it tells the genes what to do. So it actually helps to express our genes, turning them up or down, on or off. And that's termed epigenetics. You may have heard of that. And it's one of my favorite conversations to have with clientele is when they come to me and say, my whole family has heart disease or diabetes, or many have cancer or an autoimmune condition, and they feel destined to get the same thing. And I always come back with the good news is that you're in control, that the genetic component is usually a very small percentage of the equation, whether you're going to get it or not. On average, 25 to 30% of a role. Now it can vary, but dependent on condition to condition. But again, 75% on average is related to how we eat and how we live to express our genes. So we are in the driver's seat when it comes to our nutrition and healthy living. Food is also connection and love. So there's a new science of social genomics really showing that importance of how combining food with connection with our loved ones really expresses our genes and helps us live healthier, longer lives. We'll talk on the next slide of what food is medicine means. Another aspect of functional nutrition is it is individualized versus a one-size-fits-all. So in the conventional world, we tend to see an individual as a condition or a symptom, and that's what we treat. In functional nutrition and medicine, we see an individual as a human being, that they have their own story, and their parts in their systems are interrelated and interconnected. So our goal is to get to the root cause of why they're where they are and not able to manage or optimize a condition or a management tactic. Also, one thing to realize is that one person's medicine could be another person's poison when it comes to nutrition. So what works really well for one might not be for another. So think about a group of friends or family members that all went on the same diet plan and they all had different results. That's a classic example. So we are all biochemically unique. So that's the N of one in regards to each person responds differently, and even throughout the stages of life. So what you responded best to in your 20s could be completely different in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. So realize that we are all biochemically unique. We're going to need something different than the next guy, and I really like to treat my clientele as their own doctor. They know their body best. So really listening to what the body is telling us and really adapting the program from there. Another element is that nutrition should absolutely be a prioritized lifestyle habit to master. I know a lot of people will come in thinking, I'm ready for weight loss, so I'm just going to add exercise. I'm not going to worry about my nutrition. That's an easy thing for me to use as an example of why that doesn't work. Because even if it were to work in regards to the caloric equation, how many times are you going to exercise in a day compared to how many times are you going to eat in a day? So we need to put it into perspective. Our nutrition, what we do or what we don't do, really, really matters. So it should be a priority, but also know as a professional, I never advocate for it has to be culinary, it has to take hours in the kitchen, it has to be super expensive and break your checkbook. We should be able to learn these techniques, and it does not take a culinary course to learn how to cook. So we can do this simply and easily in the kitchen, no time, very low time, and within budget as well. So what's the power of food? Food, remember, is information for the body. It's one of the most powerful interventions available to practitioners, wherever they lie along the whole medical practitioner spectrum. It's less expensive than medication, it's safer with much less side effects, and it does improve the treatment efficacy if you are taking a medication or some type of a treatment plan for a condition or a symptom. And it is used to both treat and prevent disease. So what does it show? Food as medicine has been shown to not only stabilize, but also reverse chronic disease. In particular, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and the associated comorbidities such as osteoarthritis, depression, and functional bowel disorders. And unlike medication, food does not act in isolation. It is synergistic. So think of all of the phytonutrients, antioxidants, components, active components that are in our food. They work together to help drive our body's systems. They act on multiple tissues and organs, and there is a general U-shaped risk. So deficiency of nutrients versus overdose of nutrients. Now it's really hard to get an overdose through food alone. Some of the fortified processed foods may have some risk there, but otherwise the overdose tends to be more with supplementation. And this is a common concern because a lot of people feel, well, if this is natural, then it's safe for me. So if a little is good, more must be better. And that is not the case. So there is that U-shaped effect on our function within the body. The effects of nutrients are more subtle and they occur slowly over time. And remember, the N of one impact each of us biochemically unique. What is medicine for one could be poison for another. The one size fits all also carries limitations when it comes to science. Because when we're looking at random controlled trials and the science and the evidence, they're often isolating a type of food nutrient or component or a condition or a symptom. But nowadays we have multifactorial conditions, multi-symptoms, and we have a synergistic impact of food on our body's functioning. So it's really hard to isolate. We definitely want to use scientific evidence to prove, but also know that if there is no harm imposed, why not give it a try to see how the body responds? Now let's look at caloric balance, the basics. What is a calorie? It's the amount of heat or energy that's needed to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. What does it do in our body? Why do we need this heat or this energy? 3 functions. Metabolism. So our BMR, otherwise known as basal metabolic rate, is the energy that fuels our organs and our systems to function optimally at rest, doing nothing but sitting or lying down. Then we have digestion, the thermic effect of food, TEF. That's the energy that we need to digest our food and metabolize it. Then we have activity. So that's the energy we need to move, whether it's just daily activities of living or a structured activity. Now, a calorie may be a calorie when it comes to weight loss, but not when it comes to health. And before we go into the calorie counting, I do want to caveat that too. So that's a common question and concern that I have. I'll have a lot of people come to me wanting weight loss and they want a caloric plan. Can you give me a meal plan? A meal plan is not going to teach them how to eat or how to fuel their body. And that's not going to get them to the end goal that they signed up for. It really is a matter of us getting healthier on the inside. So remember our first module, those foundations. The more that we can neutralize the oxidative stress damage, we can lower the inflammation, and we can support our mitochondria and optimize our hormone and body's biochemical systems. We're going to get healthier, and weight loss is going to be a side effect of that. So it doesn't work the other way, and we're going to be talking about why that is the case. We can't focus on weight loss with calories if we're not healthy first. So let's talk about calorie counting. What are the pros and cons? You can see that the cons are much heavier weighted here. Pros, it does give control of what we're eating, so you can monitor how much you're eating. And if your goal is to lose weight, there is some validity to that. I like to have my clients do what I call a spot check periodically. We don't track very often, but periodically we will do a measurement on one of the food apps just to see how many calories, macronutrients, fiber, sugar they're getting in on a daily basis for a couple days. Let's just get an average. Where are we at? What's the macronutrient split? What kinds of foods are they consuming? What are the phytonutrient load? So it does give us some insight into some of those basics, but again, it's not going to be the end goal. And in fact, a lot of clientele that I do come, since we're going to be talking about dieting, are middle-aged women, and they tend to feel that they have to work even harder to lose weight, because we do notice our hormonal system shift throughout the decades. So where it was much easier to change a habit or two in your 20s and get weight loss and feel healthier, now in our 30s and 40s and 50s it's much harder. So they oftentimes feel they have to lessen their food intake and exercise twice a day, when in fact that's creating more stress on the body, and the opposite ends up happening. They gain weight versus losing weight. So again, something looking at, calories do matter, and if we eat too little, that's a nutritional stressor. So we do need to make sure we're getting enough. But what are the cons to counting our calories? The quality of food is not impacted. So I like to use the example of maybe a woman who is trying to lose weight, and she's smaller, so 1,200 calories is the goal. If she's eating 1,200 calories of chips, cookies, sugared cereal, milk, and soda, is she gonna lose the weight? No. That's not fueling her body. That's increasing the oxidative stress and inflammation. It's destroying her mitochondria, so her biochemical systems aren't working. She's going to be shooting up glucose and insulin, which we're going to be talking about again today, and that is not going to help with her weight loss efforts. So what you eat does matter, and so quality matters more than quantity. And it also matters in regards to our general health and well-being, which who doesn't want to live each day of their life longer and more healthfully. And it takes a lot of time to measure, count, and track calories. So that can be a stressor. Who has the time to do that? And it can create disordered eating when we put too much control on what we're doing or what we're not doing. That can create other issues. So what are the obesity statistics today? This is based off of the last documentation in 2018. So adults over 20 years of age, almost 50% are obese. So that's almost 1 in 2 adult Americans are obese. 73.6%, so about 75%, 3 out of 4 are obese or overweight. When we look at adolescents, age 12 to 19, 21% or 1 in 5. Children age 6 to 11, 20%, so 1 in 5. Children age 2 to 5, 13%, so 1 in 7 are obese. 50% of Americans are dieting at any one specific time. Eat less, exercise more, that's our mindset. 45% of the overweight, 67% of the obese are trying to lose weight. But 95% of diets fail. We're going to regain the weight in 1 to 5 years when we're focusing on a caloric plan, a specific meal plan or program designed just for weight loss. We're not taking into account what we're eating, how we're eating, and all of these other lifestyle habits that matter. Yo-yo dieting, when we're going up and down, really affects not only your metabolism, because you're going to know every time you go up, you're going to go up just a little bit more, and it makes it even harder to lose weight the next cycle. So So that's our metabolism that gets affected, but it also affects our health. And we're at higher risk for chronic disease long term with the yo-yo dieting. So what about weight loss products? Now, we're not going to take time to dive into all of the different weight loss products. We just needed a broad sweep about the generalizations of the potential risks. So since diet, exercise, and lifestyle are hard to change, many turn to weight loss products because it's much easier. I can take a pill or a powder or a product, and I don't need to do anything else. It's super simple. It's just a couple dollars out of their pocket. 15% of adults have used weight loss supplements at some point in their life, twice as many women than men, and we're paying $2 billion a year on these products. One of the top 20 reasons why we take supplements is for weight loss. And they'll come in many forms. It can be a capsule, a tablet, a powder, a liquid, a bar. The most common ingredients in these weight loss specific products are going to be herbs, fiber, caffeine, or minerals. So what are the risks? Research has shown that they can't conclude the effectiveness of these products, but they have been able to conclude some potential harm. And those risks are that there are ingredients in these products that can interact or interfere with medications or other supplements. So oftentimes we don't consider that. If we're taking a medication or a supplement, we think, well, this is just a supplement that's available to all. It must be safe. So what harm is there? But there can be quite a bit of harm in regards to drug-nutrient interactions, nutrient interactions, so whether it's in our food or in our supplementation. And they can have side effects. They don't require pre-market approval, so the FDA is not regulating or approving these products before they come to market. They can be adulterated or contaminated with prescription drug ingredients, controlled substances, and untested ingredients. So that's like extra harm potential. And in 2016, the FDA actually issued 36 public notifications warning the U.S. of adulterated weight loss products with weight loss medications. So we want to be careful of this because, again, the FDA can't regulate 100%. And so these products you can still find online and in black market areas, of course, as well. And then there's fraudulent claims. So I always encourage people, use your mind, use your intuition. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. So if this product is claiming you don't have to exercise, you don't need to count calories, you don't need to worry about your diet, all you need to take is 2 pills a day. That's too good to be true. Walk away because there could be more risk than benefit. So remember, calories in do not equal calories out in the body. We are not a mathematical equation. There is so much going on beneath the skin. So what does matter? Quality of our food. When you choose food that your body can identify, process, and use, you don't have to measure anything. You don't have to count anything. That's the glory of quality over quantity. It's much easier to do. And how we're going to do this is by eating whole foods with lots of colorful plants, and we're going to align to a balanced nutrition plate image I'm going to show you on the next slide. Then your body receives the nutrients it needs, your metabolism is improved, and guess what? Weight loss comes as a side effect. Plus, when we're following this quality matters and nutrient balance approach, your blood sugar gets better stabilized. And we're going to talk about why that matters on the next slide. So when you get your, what I call blood sugar stabilizers, protein, healthy fats, and fiber from your colorful plants, you're going to balance your blood sugars and your insulin and much less risk for weight and fat gain. So organically, by eating this way, the right foods that your body can identify in the right balance, you will lose weight. It's all about balance. So when you look at your plate, again, it doesn't have to be as hard as counting everything, measuring everything. Just when you parse out your plate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, take a screenshot of it, take a picture, or just process it in your head. What's on my plate? Make sure that 50% of it is coming from colorful plants. This is your fiber. So that's going to be primarily vegetables, non-starchy, ideal, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. And we're going to talk about what whole grains mean in the carbohydrate module. So 3 times more vegetables and fruit just because of the natural sugar content in your fruit. Then on the other side of the plate, a quarter of the plate should be coming from high quality proteins and the other quarter from healthy fats. Now these healthy fats may not have a physical presence on the plate. They may be used to prepare your food, or they might be in your food that you're eating. But these are some of the sources that we will be going into deeper dives in the macronutrient section. So let's talk about why those blood sugar stabilizers are so important. Insulin. When we spike our blood sugar response, that triggers insulin to come into the body to drive that glucose into our cells to use it for energy. However, in most cases, our cells are not receptive to that. They're closed off. So our blood sugar and our insulin rise in the bloodstream. If we're not using the glucose and insulin, guess what? We're storing it. And insulin is a fat storage hormone. It's going to shut off your ability to burn fat and only cause you to gain fat. So when we have the simple, processed, refined carbohydrates, things that are in a box or a package that don't come directly from a plant, those are going to spike our blood sugar. And if we don't have any of those stabilizers in the same diet, it's going to plummet within 30 to 60 minutes. And when that plummets even lower than where your blood sugar started, guess what you're going to want to eat again? More carbs, more sugar. Because physiologically, that's a nutritional stressor. You got to get out of that hole. So your body's going to call for something to get you back up. So you've got this roller coaster going. So again, if your body's not using it, you're storing it. Now, if we have the stabilizers, the complex carbohydrates, so your vegetables, your fruits, your legumes, your whole grains, grains that actually come from a plant, or proteins or fats, look at how much more stable our blood sugar response is. So that's going to satisfy us much longer. We're going to be able to wait 4 to 5 hours until our next meal. We're going to be satisfied. We're going to be full. We won't need to snack on carbs all day long. When we talk about those plants, especially our fruits and our vegetables, the rainbow, think about the rainbow each and every time. Every color of the rainbow has a different health purpose and function in the body. You can see this list of some of those. So if you strive for 1 to 2 servings a day of every color of the rainbow within your vegetables and fruit, remember 3 times more vegetables and fruit, we are on to a really good scenario. So what are the facts in regards to weight loss? A recent study looked at over 120,000 healthy men and women over 20 years. And what they showed is that when they were consuming primarily processed foods, sugars, and refined grains, they gained weight. When they were consuming whole foods, what we just talked about, vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, and whole grains, they lost weight. So this is about quality. It's not about caloric, because these are the same caloric intakes, just different types of food. So what's our practical takeaways? When you're meal planning, strive for nutrient balance. Think about that plate image when you are creating your meals. Eat more whole, unprocessed foods and lots of colorful plants, less processed foods and sugar. Thank you.